Okay. So we got kind of a big thing today. And before you click off, I'm going to explain exactly what is in this video. We're going to talk about Project Quarm, and we're going to talk about the Heroes Journey server, and then, most excitedly for me especially, we're going to talk about EverQuest Online Adventures for the PS2 news, because there is actual news, which I'm kind of excited about, to be honest. And then I'm going to have a small message to Daybreak, because I fully believe that the people at the company do watch stuff online, and maybe or maybe not they would, but we'll see. We'll see, right? We'll see what happens. But basically, we're going to go over each of these topics. I'll have the timestamps so you can click through them if you're not interested in one. But we're going to go through all this, and this is pretty important. It's pretty big. Okay. So to start us off here, we're going through the Project Quarm stuff. Now, I know that some people in the community either really like or really dislike Quarm, and that's fine. That's personal preferences. Some people don't like, the management. Some people don't like the way things have gone in the past. I've talked to tons of people, and it seems pretty 50-50, right? I'm not going to take a stance emotionally on any of this. It is what it is. Now, with their server, they're being fully recognized, just like P99 was, with restrictions, okay? They're allowed to come back, and they are allowed to run their server without fear, as long as they follow the restrictions. What are the restrictions? Well, they're limiting custom content. They're going to have to remove a lot of custom stuff. They're going to have to set a player cap to their server and a queuing system, so that not a ton of people can play all at the same time. And among other things, they've basically agreed to a list of spring cleaning. Okay? And they are going to tighten up the server, and they are going to make it very much more EverQuest-like. They're trying to have it be non-profit, not run for profit, which was some people's argument before. But that's not even the biggest news. So, what does this mean for the Heroes Journey server? Well, the Heroes Journey server is right now in a lawsuit. And everyone knows this. Everyone knows they're going through the lawsuit. There's a bunch of stuff going on. The Hero's Journey could make a deal with Daybreak, but it's unlikely. The reality is, if the deal with Quarm and P99 holds true, then what they're going to want is they're going to want the Heroes Journey server to be gutted, and a cap. Dude, the minimum players, when I log in at, I could log in at 5 a.m. The minimum players that you'll see online, it's like 2,000. They're going to have to cap that at 1,200 probably. Now, yeah, the agreements could be different from server to server, but I don't think it's going to be possible to remove the custom content. And I do not think it's going to be possible for them to cap the server. That shit gets up to 9,000 sometimes during the middle of the day. Because essentially what they want is for them not to replace EverQuest. It's called a market replacement. Okay? And it basically means, are you playing this version of EverQuest so that you don't have to play the other one? And that's true. A lot of us play on there because we do not want to play the original EverQuest anymore, or what have you. Some people play both, which they fail to realize maybe. But when you have a market replacement, that's what they don't want. So they want the custom stuff to go away because they can't do that stuff or won't do that stuff. They do not want them to have it because it's something that the players can get there, but not on the original EverQuest. Now, what does that mean? All that means is I think that the server is just going to completely do away with the Heroes Journey. I'm getting my final days in with the complete knowledge that, with the complete understanding that it might not be there whenever this ends. That they will have to turn it all off and it won't be there anymore. You know, if you've spent money, if you've done this, if you've done that, that sucks. But I think you got to experience something that no one will ever else get to, you know? They won't get to experience that. So maybe it's for the best. In terms of, you know, you got to experience it, and even though you maybe lost some money or whatever, you still have those experiences that you can carry with you. But it does look like the Heroes Journey server will have to be shut down. I don't think there's any compromise. But we'll talk more about that in the message to Daybreak. Let's move on to the EverQuest Online Adventures news. This is pretty exciting for me because I love EverQuest Online Adventures. And I, like, listen, this will be fucked up to say, and I know some of you won't understand because you didn't play it. I love this game more than any other game, including EverQuest itself. This game was probably one of the most close to the most perfect MMO you could probably get, even with all its problems. And it ran on a PS2. Okay? There was only one other MMO on a console at the time, and that was Final Fantasy, and that has since, you know, fucked off. This one is fucked off too. So why is there news on a thing that's not available anymore? Well, there are people trying to restore the EverQuest Online Adventure servers. They've been working on it for years, and every single day is one step closer to that. And whether anyone is impatient or what have you, every single day is a step forward. These people have lives, you know, health problems, what have you. But the news is basically this. With all these lawsuits going on, and with all these things going on, there is a path forward for the EverQuest Online Adventures. Now, I learned through a little bit of sneaky looking into certain people and maybe pretending to be other people and messaging certain people. Daybreak has their LinkedIn stuff pretty out there. We're going to say this. Things may or may not, messages have been sent, and I'm a greedy little pig. Look at me. And here's what happened. I know somewhat of the reason why they don't make EverQuest Online Adventures again from Daybreak. Daybreak has, okay, let me be clear, has the copyright for this. They can bring it back, no issues. But there is an issue. The netcode that they use is not compatible for whatever reason. This is what partially was explained to me. The netcode, for whatever reason, does not work. Let's say PC to PlayStation 2 is so different that it's difficult to do. Well, we know this to be true because the current private servers for EQOA, which there's only 2, I believe. There could be more now. But the 2 that I know that are trying to bring EverQuest back, EverQuest Online Adventures back, have had problems with the same problems. But you see, they're fan servers. So obviously they are 1,000 times smarter and better at doing this than companies are. Now, I'm not saying this a dig at Daybreak. I mean, for some reason, a fan server could do things that the company cannot always, and it always is just 1,000 times better for no reason. No reason other than just ingenuity, I guess. Either way, where are we at with EQOA? EQOA? Where are we at with it? Well, it still runs on an emulated thing called PSX. But you can run it on your PC as a client through PSX. So, in a way, the netcode issue seems to be, in my opinion, not a big issue. But obviously, people don't want to run on an emulator. They want to run a client on their PC. And that's totally fine, right? I think where I stand with that is like this. Daybreak could do a lot of things. And if they won't, fans will do it for them. Where does EQOA stand on this whole thing? Well, Daybreak, essentially, I don't think will ever make an official EQOA. But with all these lawsuits and everything going on, I feel strongly, this is my opinion, I feel very strongly that if these servers were to kick it into high gear and talk to Daybreak, we would see the full return of EQOA in a full-blown capacity. No problem. I think it's exciting because there is a clear path forward. One of the main setbacks of EQOA is why put all this work into something that's just going to get cease and desisted the moment that we flip the on switch? And that makes a lot of sense, right? Because it would be one of the more popular things that would ever come out for EverQuest, in my opinion. Because the thing is, not a lot of people played it back then, but that does not mean not a lot of people won't play it. So where we're at with the whole thing is this. They have a clear path forward. EQOA could bring a server out and then adopt the same restrictions. Now, where the only issue is, Daybreak does not have that server going. So that brings me to the end here. The message to Daybreak. Now, I started playing very young, obviously. And my mother's the one that got me into it. Her screen name was Twilight Dream. She got me into it, and EverQuest and the people on EverQuest are how, when we became homeless and we were in, I believe, Indiana, and we became homeless, all she had to do was message our guild, and a guy reached out and let us stay with him. And and then we weren't homeless. So I think that would I say that EverQuest has done more than just been a game? I would say, yeah, it has. And I think for a lot of people, there's a ton of stories like this, that aren't true with other games, where EverQuest really has been a thing where you've met people that you've known your whole life. You've met people that have literally died, in the time that you've known them for years, and you've been affected in other ways. And listen, people can judge me for talking like this, but I think it's something that needs to be said. I think if there is Daybreak employees watching content online and they happen to see this, I think that this is a good way to reach out, because we don't have an official way to reach out, really. You know, us not being homeless, and obviously, you know, we stayed with that guy, and obviously we played more EverQuest. And then when I got into EQOA, you know, because I had a PlayStation 2 and I saw that they had EverQuest for it, and I was young, obviously I played that. And obviously I played a magician because I am a little baby and don't want to learn anything else, right? No, but for real. Kind of. But the reality is not a lot of people played. And the people that are still playing have played for a long time, and there's not a lot of new people. And the people that are here, obviously some of us have money, some of us don't. But the reality is Daybreak has a decision to make. And I think the heartbreaking reality is that Daybreak, this is the final days. If you would like to play EverQuest, this is your final chance. Daybreak is making too many decisions that are going to lead them down a path to failed expansions, failed EverQuest 3s. I mean, for fuck's sake, just pretend, dude, this company, and this is, maybe I'll be a little bit harsh here. We loved Daybreak for saving EverQuest when Sony did what Sony does. They take an MMO, and when it reaches a certain place, they throw it out. So we like Daybreak because they saved EverQuest. But have they not become the company that they set out to say that they weren't? Have they not become the same kind of company? And the decisions, just because they won't listen to what the players are saying. Now, I realize that not all EverQuest players are very sane or very reasonable. But I think we're in harmony when a bunch of us get together and say, we would like to continue playing Heroes Journey. We would like to continue playing EverQuest. We would like it to be open for another 10, 20 years. But the reality is, everything that they are doing, you know, let's quit. How about Daybreak? Let's get on the same page here and quit pretending like you're going to bring out fucking EverQuest 3. How many times are they going to fail at bringing this fucking game out? And if you can't make a good expansion that players resonate with, how are you going to make an entire game based around it? I realize this is the core of what I'm saying now. I realize Daybreak took something and saved it. But that does not mean that they understand the core fundamental qualities of what EverQuest is and why people like it. You're not the original creator. You're not the guy that set up every single night thinking about these worlds and crafting them. You're not the person. You're not the guy. You're a company that put a game on life support for sad fucks like me to keep playing something that we enjoyed when we were kids and don't want to let go. You know? Sorry, that was more emotional than I thought it was going to be, but let's move on. I'm saying that the reality is we're not getting an EverQuest 3. We're not getting a good expansion anytime soon. Quite frankly, we're in the last days of EverQuest. Daybreak is going to have to seriously think about what their game plan is, unless this mysterious guy who owns 50-something% of Daybreak comes forward and puts his dick on the table. I don't think that the company will ever make the choices that the players are literally begging them to. It is not hard to take a survey of players and collate all that data and listen to what they're saying. We make videos. We talk about the game. It's out there. To say that you just have no idea is ridiculous. And to say that a private server can do something that a big company can't, You know, this is part of the message to Daybreak. Why don't we cut the bullshit, hire the private server people, and do right by the entire community? Keep them open, lift your restrictions, allow them to build, and take money from them. You don't have to protect your IP the way you think you have to protect your IP. They purchase a license. Your IP is protected. You get money. You don't have to close. We can keep the original EverQuest for all of those purists who love the original EverQuest, who still love the original EverQuest, but we allow the servers to operate in profit, but the profit is siphoned to you. And then everything would be fine. It's not that complicated. I am not a genius level business person. This is very, very on paper. Like, well, how do we protect our copyright? You license it. You give them a license. Well, what if they do something we don't like and we want to close them? We can't just let them have a license in perpetuity. No, you give it a set months and they have to renew. You say, okay, here's your 6-month license. They are allowed to operate for 6 months. If they violate some kind of thing within that 6 months, you can immediately pull it. If they don't, but you want to end their license, you can do so after the 6-month period. It's very textbook. This is not complicated. Anyone could have suggested this. I think anyone has suggested this. But look at me. Look at me getting emotional about a fucking video game at my age. What to do, what to do. I think whether anyone watching this wants to judge me or wants to say whatever they want because I care about this game, that's fine. I think most of the EverQuest community, especially the older you are, at some point was bullied for caring about fucking D&D or caring about for comic books, or you fucking pick your flavor. I know how dumb it sounds, but there's very few joys left in the world. Okay? Some people like fishing. Some people like basketball. And at a certain point, everything, yes, I get it, everything has to come to an end. But the reality is, they are very close. They're very close to the end. I would not put it past, and this is my prediction and my opinion alone, I would not put it past Daybreak because I do not understand their financials and everything that's going on to be closed within 3 years. That's my opinion. You can't keep putting out bad expansions, and you can't keep trying to keep a game alive while adding to it if you don't have a way to actively secure new players and get them to play the game. But you don't want to change the difficulties. You don't want to do any of the things that apparently Heroes Journey was able to do just on the fly, just tapping around on the keyboard. They don't want to implement any way to do anything. And obviously, no one's playing EverQuest 2. Now, I think new players might want to try EverQuest 2 rather than play EverQuest because it's a hard game. It's a hard game to learn. I know that a lot of the people in our community pretend like it's not, or we pretend like there's no barrier to entry, or we pretend, oh yeah, it's just got like a little bit of older UI. No, it's horrendous to learn the game. It's true. It's fucking horrendous, and honestly, that thing that they call a tutorial is, let's be honest, garbage. It's garbage. There's no new players coming. Your older ones are dying, and the revenue that they're seeing has got to be shrinking. So that's why I think the Daybreak will be out within a few years. Why do I say this? Because they have never been more volatile, and that's typically when a company starts to have problems. They start to make rash decisions that they wouldn't normally make when they're comfortable and they're making expansions and everyone's happy and nothing's going on and there's just the typical, oh, I hate this zone. You know, this new expansion, I don't know. I guess it's okay. I don't know. I don't like it. You know, the typical grumblings, you know, that's to be expected. What's not expected is when the entire community is an uproar because you're trying to literally cleave away something that they enjoy because you won't do it. So I think I might end the video here, but I just want, you know, if you have comments or anything, I reply to every single comment. You know, Daybreak could very easily license these people, keep this stuff alive, and go and move on. And everything moves on just as it was. But they won't. And there's a huge problem. They think protecting their copyright means a lot of different things. I don't know. Either way, I reply to every single comment that is on my channel. So if you want to talk, you want to tell me stories about when you played, or about when you're playing now, or how you got into EverQuest, that would be beautiful. I would love that. I love the love of EverQuest. And we're going to end it here, but I may have more news. We'll see what happens with this whole Daybreak thing. But, you know, they're saying that the EverQuest 3 thing is coming, but let's be honest. Yeah, we'll end it there. I'll see you in the next one.